So good afternoon. It is now 3 it is now 3:30 p.m. I had acai super berry oxidant from Jamba Juice delivered with $20 I had remaining, and it brought me to ideas which I think are coming from those that are corporate and positionally outside of my situation, probably in terms of their own projections on when I situationally would need to make a purchase of their product in a certain industry. They are out there with the understanding of where purchases will be done in my situation, uh, especially when it comes to after moving, leaving this country, and continuing on the plans that I have for my situation. And then when I get around to the office and it's needed purchases, uh, if I decide to make movements to rent an office around here, that intent, I think, in itself would plant me in San Diego longer, even though the ideas are you don't think I can not acquire, gather clients in order for them to plant themselves around me and then begin a venture with a lot, renting a space. You would think I should move that onto after the objective of leaving, because right, it will change if they know out there that I intend to after efforts to get other purchases done will be done in another location, and they have to make projections and planning for that instead of it being here. How about the car? If I rent the car until I leave the country and I don't make a purchase on a car, now you're thinking of all these dealers that are in America. You're thinking of the whole country and its effect on its purchasing if I don't purchase the car while I'm here. What's the necessity for me to have a car to drive to work, not to drive around here? I do that. I have an asset acquired in America, registered at the DMV, in order for me to do all this driving around in it and make purchases here and there in it. And then that corporation's movements have to be here, along with the purchasing and all the companies involved. I put all that off until after I move. All those industries will be applying pressure. All those industries will be applying pressure to my situation to make it move, so then they can get on with their own purchasing. Nobody expects anyone to be antagonistic towards you purchasing a car. If I move that over to you, don't get this situation done before I purchase that car, you're not going to see me change anything. Sorry to change my tone of my demeanor here, but it means I understand what's going on. I just, per desire, my innate desire, decide on purchases without thinking. If I put these in order on a list in terms of priority of necessity in my life situation, per the movements you would make if I made the purchase now versus later. It means I have to order all of my purchases and then present them to the public as what I would be doing as my schedule for purchasing. If I don't, you as a corporation will place your own desires on where I would have a purchase and then plant me in a situation where you could extend it further, such as this. Now, when it comes to putting purchases off until later, you think of the 40 to $500 range as being this range of corporations merchandise and that price range creating variability in what? If it does not affect my ability to move, and you as a company are not preventing me from making the purchase itself or acquiring a loan, then I can have it now. If the CLA is not there before I make the purchase and I can't get a loan, it means it has to be after I start acquiring CLA, or that consulting supplementary career track ends up providing me the finances for everything I need, and I can pay for it in cash. Then I won't have to wait around anymore for $40 or a loan. So all that comes next. It takes listing everything I want to buy and putting it in order so that you can't prolong this situation here with these parents. I'm sure that, I am understanding that this is logic that exists out there when it comes to purchase planning. When it involves corporations and you don't put it in the right order, they end up keeping you from moving and planting you with their own favorable situation and keeping it going because you purchased it at the wrong time, right? That's how it makes sense to me, and that's how it seems like it's been done out there. And then looking at this situation of people are working at corporate but maintaining their own ultimately objectives in my situation. You still do that against my list of in order of purchasing. You are going against the grain of what other companies understand as my schedule for purchasing, and other industries are already going to apply pressure once they see in the order of events when their purchasing comes into play. You as what? Trying to affect it, and it becoming maybe obvious to me through me making the strides towards making that purchase. You displaying to me your intent for one, me having it or not at all. It being racist or not. It being racist or not. Your company's culture. What you intend to do while I have the product. Whether or not I should jump ship already once I hear that shit and move on to an alternative in the industry. Things like this will come into play. And then spilling forward, if there needs to be for enforcement on you for any infrastructure obstruction and barrier activities and such, involving what? I don't know, your movements on the stock markets and the SEC and etc. Oh, now you're worried. Well, there's the thing. We're cleaning house with my purchasing activities, right? You have your contingency plans, your plans to attack me, to say this and that, and then involve your family, and the reason why this is how this is because of me and shit like that. You intend to do that in how many months from now and whatnot, right? Explain to me why I ruined your life. You have plans like this. Amidst all these companies watching me do everything in order and trying to bogart and trying to change the direction of my life with the purchase I'm making or considering. You come forward to me with information that makes your company tank. I become verbal even. Tanking involves what? Yeah, I don't know. How are you keeping yourselves up these days? It doesn't have to do with sales. It has to do with the fact that you downsized enough and you have enough to keep the lights running and making it look like a big time corporation all over the place when you're not anymore. That's all you're doing. When you look around and you notice that it's all a bunch of hot air and what you actually have in your pockets is nothing, you'll come to see that your commercials don't mean jack shit and you have another industry out there with a different composite and you're not in that game anymore. Is it going to be like that? Because, as what we see these days in commercials, you have a bunch of less than laymen, noobs getting on TV saying this and that. They don't even know what the fuck they're talking about when it comes to their own product. So ridiculous. We live along amongst these people who want to be aloof assholes when they're also aloof on what the fuck shit is. You don't know your own industry. You don't know what you're selling. You don't know what the fuck up and down. You don't know nothing. You become one of these people out there that's just aimlessly walking around thinking that you're a professional, when the rest of us are laughing at you because you don't know the time and shit. That might just be how it is. So good luck, sirs and ma'ams. I get on with my dig here, you get on with your dig there. We'll see where it all ends up, you know? Just remember, this is my life. Try to get in the way and change it into the direction you want. Karma, you know? You'll see what comes back to you. Just remember that.